Hi, my name's Randy Siebold, Vice President for Education at Weimar Center for Health and Education and Dean of Weimar College. And I have with me Cyndi Keiser. She is Administrative Assistant at, for the Dean of the college, whom I know well, frankly. But really glad to have you in the office and glad to have you here, that people get to know you a little bit. I'm sure people will be calling. And you answer the phone a little bit?
I answer the phone, and I'll be the first person they talk to.
Well, good. And so just to get to know you a little bit, you're married to Cyndi Keiser,
Yes.
who is Executive Vice President of Amazing Facts,
Yes.
works closely with Doug Batchelor, and and I was in some meetings. What a wonderful guy, and I know you think that too. But
yeah, I'm a little prejudiced.
Yeah, he's a great guy, and really appreciate your ministry even here at the college as well. So
Thank you.
You had a chance. Speaking of Amazing Facts, you were involved with Amazing Facts before Steve became vice president.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that. This was Amazing Facts Center of Evangelism, right?
Yes.
The AFCO program.
We went through AFCO back in 2000, and we both felt the call to go into full-time ministry. And so at that time, we sold everything we owned, put our house on the market, and went out to AFCO. And the amazing thing was we had a 3-year-old at the time, and I didn't know how.
That was a huge. That was huge.
Yeah.
Now, what were you? You had jobs and.
Yes, my husband was. I was home with my daughter, and he was working full time for medical practice as their administrator, and he quit his job, and we sold everything and came out to AFCO. We both felt the calling on our lives.
Did anyone say you're crazy?
Yes,
I should say, did
family.
anyone not say you're crazy?
My whole family and his family thought we were going crazy doing something like that, but
Wow.
but we just both felt the burning desire to be in the ministry.
So did you guys go through at the same time?
No, we couldn't, because we
Okay.
had Hannah was
Right,
3,
right.
and so my husband is such a wonderful gentleman. He let me go first, and he stayed home.
You couldn't.
No,
Take it.
and he stayed home with Hannah, and he was Mr. Mom for 4 months.
Wow.
And then when I finished and graduated, he went through the program. And what was really neat was that we were able to be outreach partners in his program and go through it together, kind of, going out. And we go door to door with our 3-year-old, and everybody would let us in.
Wow.
They thought it was great.
Wow. So did you learn anything through the AFCO program?
Oh, wow. Did I ever?
Maybe a better question is, was your life totally transformed?
It
through
was. It was so amazing. I talked to a lot of people, and I shared that going through the AFCO problems, like taking a drink out of a water fountain. I mean, a water hydrant that just comes at you so much information at once, but it's so amazing. I wouldn't trade my AFCO experience for anything in the world. God truly blessed, and after we were both done with it, we didn't know where we were going. We really had no idea, and God opened the door for us to go and work with Pastor Don McIntosh in Wichita, Kansas as Bible workers. And my husband did a lot of associate pastoral work under him there at his church, and we just loved it. We just had so much fun. We worked with Don for 2 years. And then my husband and Pastor Don did a evangelistic series. They taught it, and the president of the conference came down and heard my husband preach and called us into an office afterwards and asked us if we were interested in going into full-time pastoral ministry. And so they called my husband to be a pastor in Kansas. And so we took a district that was 60 miles east of Wichita in a little town called Eureka.
Wow.
And we had 4 churches, and we pastored there for 4.5 years.
Wow, amazing. And when I noticed in your resume here, you also did literature evangelism work.
Yes.
So where did that fit into that picture?
I did literature evangelism during the time he was pastoring.
Oh, okay.
Because we were in such a small town, and it was really difficult to how do we get Bible studies going. We wanted to reach out to our community. And so we thought it would be a good idea that if my daughter was going to the school. We had a little small school there, and so she was attending school. So I had time during the day to go door to door, and I just met the people in our community and and God blessed and started Bible studies.
Wow.
And if I met a man, I'd give the Bible study to Steve, and through that LE work, we were able to reach a lot of people and the community for the Lord.
So now, if I remember right, through the literature, in fact, the book Great Controversy is how you came to know the truth.
Absolutely. That's why I had such a passion for sharing that particular book with people, but also just sharing our books, because the message in the Great Controversy is what converted me. When I met Steve, I had been raised Mormon, but I had fallen away from God completely. And he was backslidden Seventh-day Adventist at the time, too, when we met. And so when we decided that our relationship was getting strong enough for marriage, we knew that we needed God. I knew that, he knew that, but we had a problem because I always believed I'd go back to the Mormon faith. And of course, he always believed he'd be a Seventh-day Adventist. And so we had a problem. We didn't know how we could get married. So we started studying the Bible together. And then, so he invited the pastor of the Adventist church over, and then we invited the Mormon missionaries over on a different night, and we studied with both of them. My husband was very wise in saying, let's study both religions and see which one is correct. And whatever one we find right, we'll join. And I thought, yeah, let's do that.
That sounds so right.
So, but 2 years prior to meeting my husband, I lived next door to a health food store. And the lady there was very kind to me, and they gave me a part-time job. But they also fed me, and they invited me up to their home, and they gave me the Great Controversy. And I had the book in my nightstand for years, but could never read it. It was like way beyond where I was at, you know, spiritually at the time. And I was just, you know, not there to read it. So I tried a couple times, but I always felt like something I needed to read, and I kept the book. Steve didn't know I had it. He didn't know because it was packaged Cosmic Conflict, so he didn't even know it was the Great Controversy. So when we were studying, in the midst of all the study, we went on a trip together, and he said, bring a book to read to me in the car. And I grabbed that book. Of all books. I didn't know what it was. I thought it was a novel. I had no idea it was a Great Controversy. He didn't either. He thought it was a novel. So when I began to read, he was like amazed.
Recognized.
And he's like, where did you get that book, Cyndi? And I said, my neighbor gave it to me years ago. He says, that's an Adventist book. And I said, it is? And then I couldn't put it down. All weekend long, all I could do was read the Great Controversy.
Wow.
And so when it came to the second chapter of the era of spiritual darkness, and it showed the change of the Sabbath, I was just amazed. And so then it began a whole series of studies with the pastor and also the Mormon missionaries. But that's a long story. We won't go there. But that's what converted me was reading that book.
Well, I think just in listening to you and knowing you, your passion for evangelism comes out. So share with me a little bit how you see that playing out in your position at Weimar College.
Well, you know, I used to do secretarial work before I was a Christian, and it's something that I was trained in high school. And
in several different professional areas.
Yes, I worked for lawyers and then doctors before I had Hannah, and then being able to stay home was such a blessing, you know, for when she was young. But before that, I worked in an office setting. But I never enjoyed that work. I felt empty. I felt it was stressful, and usually the people I worked with weren't kind to each other. And so I'd go home almost sick every night. I just didn't like my job, and I wanted out. And then the Lord was calling me. I could feel Him calling me to ministry and calling to doing something different, and I was unhappy. And so it's like Lord has brought me full circle around, and He's led me this far into ministry, and now He's led me here to Weimar College to work with you in a ministry for the students there at the college, and I love it. I find it very rewarding.
And this is a ministry for the students. I just, today in chapel as you were leading out, I just leaned over to Dr. Jackson. I said, there's the mom of our students. I mean, it's just, it's a great ministry, and they lean on you and they need you, and I praise the Lord. He has packaged this all together into a really nice ministry in a really nice place with really wonderful young people.
Yes, I really love working with them, and I enjoy it immensely, and I find that the Lord is, you know, extending the ministry in a different way in an office setting. It's just amazing how he has called me into this role, and I absolutely love it.
Praise the Lord. Well, glad you're here. Glad you could take time to be here. Glad you're working with the dean of the college. I know he appreciates your work. And,
I'm glad to.
Yeah, good. Thank you. And thank you for taking a few moments to join us and get to know Cyndi Keiser.